on Bulls, a random midday live stream. Guess what? It's the off season. You never know when you're going to see us. On today's episode, we'll talk about Ayo Dosunmu being left off Bleacher Report's top 3 Chicago Bulls young player list and who was there instead of him. We'll also talk about Justin Lewis unfortunately suffering what appears to be a torn ACL and talking about Bill Russell's number being retired. All that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. And yes, we're live. It's me, Pat the Designer, live for Locked On Bulls. What's going on, brother?
Nothing much, my guy. Nothing much. You know, living the dream, enjoying myself, having a good time. So it is what it is.
Listen. I mean, that's all you can. That's all you can do. You know, I'm dealing with a little bit of stress over here, so I'm glad to have the momentary time to kind of take my mind off of it. Talking about our favorite thing to do with sports. So yeah, definitely happy to get into that. But nonetheless, brother, we got some things to talk about. So Bleacher Report made this list of the top 3 young players on every team. And on the Chicago Bulls, I expected, like, you going into that, you expect to see certain names. Yeah. I see it. I see Patrick Williams. Oh, that sounds about right. Seems about right. You know, that's fair. Kobe White. I'm like, huh? Wait a second. Wait. Kobe's on this list. Okay. All right. So Ayo Dosunmu got to be number 3. Dalen Terry. Ayo Dosunmu is nowhere on this list. Now, I get it. Kobe White is still young. He still does have some promise. But as most of the basketball world should know by now, the Bulls are kind of slowly but surely moving on from Kobe White. And even if they weren't, you're putting Kobe White above Ayo Dosunmu as one of the Bulls' top 3. The player that started most of the games, the player that defensively, some of his advanced defensive analytics aren't just good but amazing. You're doing Kobe White above that? What do you think about this, Pat?
I think it speaks to where the league is, right? I mean, when you look at it, right, like the Kobe White upside is technically still there. The Kobe White upside could be if he turns into the player that we saw for 3 months of this season, you have a top level scorer on your NBA bench. Like I can see why you might think that, but the way you phrase it as potential, or the top 3 young players with potential, right? Like, for me, I'm looking at Ayo Dosunmu already does something really, really, really well versus some of the best competition in the NBA. Yeah. And you can improve upon that. Kobe White doesn't actually do anything yet really, really, really well. Ayo Dosunmu is a dominant defender among the NBA, or at least was last season. Now, whether it continues or not, that's yet to be seen. But he was a dominant defender against Trae Young. Darius Garland. I almost said Darius Leonard. Darius Garland been doing a lot of Bears content. I mean, name the guy, right? Had a good game, couple of good games against Drew Holiday. Had like top point guards in the NBA. He really showed out against really well.
His son Trae Young.
I can't say that about Kobe White. I just, you know, I look at Kobe's game and it's like, yeah, there's moments, but there's not consistency. With Ayo, I saw consistency. And for me, consistency shows me more upside than anything. Now, I guess the question is, what do you value more? Do you value consistent defense more, or the potential of having that offensive guy more?
No, I think with this, and I appreciate you for rationalizing it. That's why you are my better half when it comes to podcasting, because what I got to say is, Bleacher Report just doesn't pay attention to what's going on with specific.
That's true as well.
Like that's the only reason I can rationalize. Like, if you're going to, and I get it, Bleacher Report is this huge website. They cover every single sport. But if you're going to write an article and talk about each team individually, either the writer has to know those teams individually, or ask whatever person you have doing your coverage of that team, hey, because there's no way that you can convince me that somebody who pays attention to the Chicago Bulls night in and night out would give you this list as the top 3 young players on the Chicago Bulls.
No, because I think there's been a serious pullback around Kobe. I definitely would think I would see Ayo on there more than anybody. Who Who's the first one you said? P. Will, right?
P. Will. And that makes sense.
Okay, that one makes sense.
That makes sense.
No, P. Will. Yeah, listen, y'all seen the handle that pull up over Evan Mobley? He's getting me a little excited. I'm trying not to go too far in, but see,
bro. This is why I'm not getting excited about it. It has nothing to do with P. Will and everything to do with, is Billy Donovan even going to let him do this?
Yeah.
Like, is Billy Donovan going to give him the opportunity to do a pull-up jumper after a dribble on Evan Mobley? Like,
you need the ball in his hand a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Give me 10 shots a game. That's all I'm asking for.
He had a usage rate of 14, bro. There's bench players with better usage rate than that. But I'm sorry. Continue. Go ahead.
I'm gonna be honest with you, right? I think the oversight is more just throwing Dalen Terry on there. Right, like I get the excitement around Dalen Terry. Dalen Terry's put himself in a lot of good positions. He's going out there and playing against top competition. He's out there with PG. He's out there with DeMar. He's out there. Like I love to see it. He was just at I'm waiting for that video to drop. He was just at Jay Crossover's. I don't know why I called him like that. Like I don't know his real name. He was just at Jamal Crawford's camp, the Jay Crossover camp. Yeah. So he's putting himself in the right positions, but that doesn't mean you've done anything, right? That like Summer League shows me like you can run up and down the court and you have the understanding of basketball. It doesn't show me that you're going to be this dominant player at the NBA level. So I think the oversight to me is throwing Dalen Terry on there above Ayo Dosunmu more than Coby White, because at least, right, Kobe's had multiple 30-point games. He's had months where he's got hot. He's had months where he's been an offensive, a key offensive piece for us. I think that's the oversight to me.
No, I don't agree with that, because I think the way that I'm looking at this is that, and if you look at the list, most of the excitement as far as young players is always going to go to the most recent draft pick. It's the shiny new thing.
Yeah.
So I don't think that that's an oversight over Kobe, because we've seen 3 years of Kobe, and guess what? While Kobe has dazzled some, like we all know, Kobe is probably, unfortunately, like I said before, I think there's still a really good player in Kobe. This is not a thing against Coby White and the player he may turn into, but the writing's on the wall for Coby White. Like it's probably over for Coby White as far as a Chicago Bull by the end of this season, unless some things really change. So like, I don't see that as being an oversight of having Dalen Terry on the list above Coby White. Kobe being on this, because it's only 3, right? It'd be different if they just ranked every young player. If they said like every young player under 22, okay, yeah. you got a list there. But no, if you're going 3 young players, I think Kobe has to be the odd man out on the list. And honestly, if you're even going off the top 5, I think in some ways, if Marco does come on, we'll see if they plan on using him. He's a little bit more exciting than Kobe, because he's at a position of need for the Chicago Bulls. So
the Marco argument, I can get down with a little bit more. I think the thing for me is, right, like it's like Zion Williamson getting the cover of 2K before he dribbled a basketball. Yeah, I'm saying, like, listen, these guys are good, right? And you assume they're going to be able to carry this at the next level. But we've seen a lot of dudes that were really good in college come to the next level, and it's like, oh wow, he really became a role player fast. Yeah, I mean, so like and Dalen Terry is probably the opposite, right? Like, to speak to that, we've seen the opposite. Zach was a role player. Devin Booker was a role player. They're stars in the league right now. Dalen Terry, if anything's going to happen with him, right, that's probably the thing that's going to happen with him, where he was a role player next to Ben Mathurin. He'll probably be a star in the NBA, well, I hope he's a star, but if he's going to make that transition, he would probably make the transition towards star in the NBA. The one thing I'll say about Coby White that I really want people to think about is that, I think me and you talked about this off air, but that I really want to talk about is how much work do you get in during the season? We kill, and listen, I'm not a Coby White supporter. I'm not saying that this dude has to stay a Bull. One way or the other, I think it's going to work itself out. But this is Kobe's first training camp.
Yeah.
This is the first time he's ever been able to focus on something specifically where he's needed to improve upon that. I think that could change a lot for him coming into the season, because during the season, there's so many games, you don't have time to just sit there and work on your handles that day.
Yeah. So yeah, during the actual season, the time to work on one-to-one individual things, there's some, but there's not a lot of it, right? You're working on team things. You're working on team drills. You're watching tape from things that your team either did or did not do. The individual, the ball handling things that we know Kobe's working on this season, there's some time for that during the season, but there's not a lot of time to focus just on that. You're traveling 4 days out the week, things like that. So yeah, there's definitely a point of that. Kobe having his first training camp could be huge for him. You're going into your first season in the league, you're having your first training camp. It's wild. But this is what I'll say. Kobe's future is really in Kobe's hands at this point. Like, that's it. I think he's still going to get, I've said this, I've been vocal. He's going to get opportunities to start the season. How he uses those opportunities is going to be key in what and how Kobe's future with the Chicago Bulls does go. And next up, we're going to talk about one of the players that we thought were going to have a bright future, and he's still very well made with the Chicago Bulls, and that's Justin Lewis. But first, got to talk to you guys about BetOnline. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find all your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports wagering information, from live in-game betting, scores, and podcasts. They got you covered. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline is where the game starts. All right, so Pat, yesterday, about 10 p.m. my time, got a notification. Daniel Greenberg, and I immediately knew it wasn't something good for either the Bears or the Bulls, because when Greenberg tweets that late, it's never anything good.
I felt better because I was just like, well, Roquan's traded.
That's what my brain went to. It was like Roquan's traded, or it was going to be. Hey, turns out Byron Pringle actually tore his quad. Yeah. He's actually going to miss 8 weeks. But no, unfortunately, it was the Bulls undrafted signing from the draft. They signed him the night of the draft. That's how much they wanted him. Justin Lewis, who signed to a 2-way contract, possibly tore his ACL during a workout. Now, in all reality, Justin Lewis probably wasn't going to get very many minutes in his initial season with the Bulls if everyone stayed healthy. But we're sitting here now. Unfortunately, his initial season, his inaugural season, is probably going to be taken from him. Even if it ends up not being a torn ACL, the fact that there's fear around it, it's probably going to be a pretty significant knee injury. Yep. How do you feel about it? Where do you sit?
It sucks, right? It sucks for the player himself, because you felt like there was going to be – you want him to be able to get those reps immediately. You want him to be able to get those high potential reps immediately, right? And I think that he was a player that could have gotten those – could have worked his way up through the Bulls organization probably this season, right? Because like you said, we have a need at that power forward position. And I think the Bulls probably are looking at this and saying, oh, well, we got Marco and then we got Tony Bradley. Like, let's hope we don't have nothing else go down here. But what I will say is that, right, like for the Bulls, it doesn't change that much to me because like we said, right, like it sucks for the player. It sucks for him. I hope he has a quick recovery. But for the Bulls, it doesn't change that much for me. I didn't expect Justin Lewis to come in. Now, I said he could have come in and been that E.J. Liddell kind of player, day one, play one type player. But I didn't expect the Bulls to move him into that position right away. I thought that would be something that would take some time. I don't think it changes your rotation. I don't think it changes your outlook for the season at all. I don't think it changes anything. So for me, it's you hate to see it, but at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world for the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, it's not, and like they see something in Justin Lewis, and I think the whatever they saw that made them sign him literally about an hour after it was draft night. We were still talking about Dalen Terry. Is that they saw something in him, and they probably would have drafted him with a second-round pick had the Bulls had a second-round pick. So hopefully that belief in him maintains, and that even though he's going to be injured, and even if they do have to pull back the 2-way contract, but there's a relationship built there now. Hopefully he does still come back, and he wants to come back to this organization. The thing that I won't lie. The thing that kind of sucked about this, it sucks in a lot of different ways, is that McCormaker literally just signed an Exhibit 10 contract. Yeah. He probably would have been next in line to go ahead and get that contract if they knew that this was going to happen, man.
Yeah, I mean, that does suck a little bit. I didn't even think about that he just signed the other day. But, I mean, at the end of the day, right, I want to see kind of how the Bulls move with this, right? Like, it's like you said, they can pull that contract back. I wonder if they sign him straight up to a Windy City Bulls deal, maybe, and just to hold him onto the roster. Because it wasn't like the Bulls were the only one in on him. He was the highest coveted player.
He was second highest.
Yeah, coming out of the draft. So I think the Bulls would still want to hold on to him. I don't know if they even remove the 2-way, but I mean, well, probably because you want somebody
who can come back and forth,
between teams. So maybe I hope they turn that just into a Windy City Bulls deal and hold on to him straight up, because I do think he's a kid that has a lot of potential. And I think he's somebody that could reach that potential quickly on this team. And hopefully, listen, we don't know. Has it been confirmed yet?
For sure. No, it still has not been confirmed.
Still up in the air. So hopefully it's not an ACL.
And,
hopefully it's something he can recover.
And one of the things that I will say now, I pay attention to this. Initially, from last night to this morning, everything was reported as it's probably a torn ACL. If you look at the last things in the last 4 or 5 hours, now it all says he suffers a knee injury. So there could be some hope there. I do think that they probably do convert it to whatever to still keep him in. And the thing is like while he wasn't like at the 5-on-5 workouts, things like that. He's been here in Chicago working out since Summer League. So he hasn't left. He's been preparing. So we'll see what ends up happening for him. He still has a bright future ahead of him. I still think they're going to take time.
You're also probably not getting that invite if you're on a 2-way deal. Yeah, I mean, we didn't see Malcolm Hill there either. Like,
I mean, Malcolm Hill still hasn't signed his contract.
Well, true. Yeah, I
mean, but yeah, I mean, heck, there were players there that are on actual contracts that weren't invited out. So it is what it is. There, but
we don't need you here yet, man.
I mean, listen, Goran was handling business overseas, man.
Hey, I forgot Goran and DeMar really got beat. Remember they got in a fight?
Somebody said that in the comments on the channel, and I was like, I completely forgot about that. And then I still didn't remember when I still didn't remember when they said it. So I went, of course, to YouTube and I typed it in. And I was like, oh crap.
Oh, it was a legit fight, bro.
Yeah, it was a legit.
DeMar went back to LA.
Hey, shout out to Goran Dragic, who didn't back down either, though. Shout out to Goran.
Yeah, hey, listen. You don't. This. Never mind. That's not for this podcast.
Come on, bro. Come on. Let's bring it on home. Patrick. Let's bring it on home, bro.
Relax, brother. Relax.
So I'm gonna ask you this, bro. Surveying the league, surveying other young players out there. Do you think the Bulls look at another player to bring on a 2-way contract? And if so, who do you think that may be?
The problem is, right, I do think that they'll bring some guys on that were out there. I don't know if they'll bring on another big. And I think that's the part where I'm like, but I don't need more guards. But I think somebody on their I can't think of buddy name. Somebody that was on their Summer League team. What was the point guard name?
Javon Freeman Liberty? Or
not
the
that
guy?
one. That was the one they liked, the one that was in the starting lineup. I can't think of his name right now. In the chat, y'all help me out if y'all remember his name. Baki, you in the chat. I see you, man. Y'all let me know if y'all remember his name. But I think he's a guy that you could bring on. I mean, he was dropping 20 every now and then. He was kind of getting on my nerves. Carlick Jones. That's what I was thinking of, yeah. He was kind of getting on my nerves because he was like trying to show that he was like one of the better players on the team and he was taking bad shots sometimes. But
but he's 20. Like, come on, man. He's 24 years old playing out there with a bunch of rookies and stuff. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, but I think I could see a guy like that coming back in there. I think that's probably, unfortunately, right. I think that's where the Bulls go. Somebody they know, somebody that's already been in the system and stuff like that. Especially with the question mark on is Malcolm Jones going to sign this deal or not? They haven't revoked the QO, but he ain't put pen to paper yet. So. I don't think there's a big out there that they go out there and get, man. I mean, and the ones that people have talked about, right? Like, I think Bol signed a 2-way already. I think, McCour Maker we just lost, right? So, like, I don't know what player they would go get on that 2-way. Tyler Cook signed with somebody? Is Tyler Cook?
No, Tyler Cook is still out there. So
I would bring a Tyler Cook back. I would bring a Tyler Cook back.
They may bring Tyler Cook back. I can see that happening. I can see Tyler Cook coming back. There you go. That's what they do. I said they probably do bring Tyler Cook back.
That would
familiar with the system, taking a look at him. So
he was getting cooked at times last season.
Oh, there were listen.
Hey, we remember that first Giannis game. We don't remember the second one.
There was also some times out there where Tyler Cook was out there doing some things. You like, hey man, listen. Can we put him in a pick and roll with Lonzo Ball? Can we see what that looks like? So we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. But are the Bulls cursed? Probably, maybe. It is what it is. We got PTSD out here. Like that's what happens. Yeah, it kind of is what it is.
Listen. If we're cursed with injury on our players on 2-way deals, we are okay. It's not a great way to start the season. I hope Justin Lewis recovers very quickly, but we are not in a bad position yet.
No, not yet. I mean, come on, bro. Like, let's be real here. Like,
be realistic.
prayers up to Justin Lewis though, and hopefully it isn't a torn ACL. Hopefully we do get an update probably over the course of the weekend, something like that. I doubt if he may see a doctor today, and they make that determination and we hear what it is. Like, you never know. Maybe it's a severe ACL strain, which it has happened before. Yeah. So we'll see. Shout out to him on that one. But let's go ahead and move into the last segment for today. Pat, Bill Russell's number is being retired across the NBA. Alex Caruso will officially be the last Chicago Bull to wear number 6 after Cristiano Felicio. By the way, shout out to PTSD. What do you think about the NBA making
mentioned so many times this week? We've mentioned Felicio on 4 or 5 podcasts this week. Why are we talking about Cristiano Felicio so much? That neck beard was awful.
Bro, you said he got braids now too? Like, that's
neck beard, braids, and glasses. Go to bed.
But what do you think about the NBA retiring Bill Russell's number? It's something we actually said after the news. We said that it was probably going to happen.
I love it. I 100% agree with it. I kind of want to see what players pivot with jerseys, right? Because they said that players that currently wear 6 can still wear 6.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Caruso changes his number. I don't know if LeBron changes his number. But we'll see, right? Like, I respect it. I agree with it. I think that when you talk about somebody that really started to put the game on the map, you talk about Bill Russell. And as far as African-American athletes that have been some of the greatest in the games, right? Like, Bill Russell is Jackie Robinson for basketball.
Yeah.
Jackie Robinson's number is retired across baseball. Bill Russell's number should absolutely be retired across basketball. For all the reasons. I mean, like, and he did it in Boston. Let's say what you want. We know what's going on in Boston, bro. Like, multiple players have told us what's happening over in Boston. So, like,
it's not much better either. I don't know when's the last time you've been to Boston. It's not much better.
Bro, what do you mean? Like, LeBron just said it like 3 weeks ago on the shop. So, like, it can't be that much better than 3 weeks ago.
But yeah, I mean, shout out to the NBA. This season is going to be a celebration of Bill Russell for sure. Yeah. And this is deservingly so. Bill Russell, what he's meant to sports and black athletes, it needs to be recognized, and good to them to retire his number. But now to end this show, we're going to move on from that. Again, shout out to Bill Russell. We're going to go to your guys' comments. Random live stream. What's a live stream without going to the live comments? We got to do it, right? I saw one from Baki. I got it because Baki's just, I love Baki. Baki's crazy. So like I said, Lewis probably was going to be good since why he's hurt, because only our productive players get hurt. Tony Bradley will play all 82. I'm just talking. Listen, Tony Bradley may sit all 82.
Tony Bradley might get some time, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Bro. Tony Bradley got a little off season. He gonna try and get that back to the basket game up. Yeah, I mean, Tony Bradley might get some time.
What if Tony Bradley comes out and he's like all of a sudden got some post moves and we're just like, where did this come from?
I keep telling y'all, bro. Like, a training camp or an off-season training camp is gonna make a difference, man. With Tony Bradley, with Kobe White, with Patrick Williams, all these. Although Patrick Williams is working with the right people, but the only thing that may hurt Tony Bradley is I don't know if he had enough time to work with Andre Drummond.
That's funny, bro. Tony Bradley, like, shout out to Tony Bradley, man. I don't even know what to say. Man. Shout out to Tony Bradley, though. Is he Cristiano Felicio 2.0? Is that what Tony Bradley is?
He ain't that bad.
He's not that good either, bro. He's not that good.
Don't disrespect him like that. He's not that bad. Cristiano Felicio never gave us as many good games as Tony Bradley has. Name me. I can name you 6 good Tony Bradley games. Name me a good Cristiano Felicio.
You can name 6 good Tony Bradley games?
They all happened on the same West Coast trip. They all happened on the same West Coast trip, but I can name you 6 of them. He was hooping.
Yeah, listen, man, that's funny. Colin Calling says, what up, guys? Much love. Listen every day. Thanks for staying 5 days a week. Listen, we got you, man.
Absolutely. No, that's something for, because we know Locked On, some of the basketball shows and stuff like that do go to 3 days a week. We've given y'all so much content that we've kind of like tried to find ways to make it entertaining, that at this point we figure we might as well just keep it going for y'all. We appreciate you guys for for rocking with us on the daily as you guys do. So shout out to y'all. I do got one thing to ask you, Haize, and this is a little on-air production. Did you do a read?
Yeah, I did a read, bro. I did a whole. Where were you at when I did the whole BetOnline?
Did you? Okay, read? Hey, I just.
Bro, listen, bro. Hey, I can't say what I want to say to you on
Friday.
I can't say to you what I want to say to you on air, but I'm gonna
sure.
You got a text message coming from you the moment we stop streaming.
Hey, bro, I swear that was 20 minutes ago. What you expect me to remember 20 minutes ago, bro? You expect me to remember 20 minutes ago? No, it's all good, man. Hey, throw some questions. What we got?
Shout out to my melanin deficient co-host. I feel like if we stay healthy and continue to work together like we're doing, we can be scary and appreciate the show, guys. Yeah, I mean, our improvement's going to have to come from working better together, and the coaching staff coaching a little bit better and coming up with a better scheme. What do you think, Pat?
I agree that health is the biggest thing for me, right? Like, no matter what scheme Billy Donovan comes up with, if we missing Zach, Lonzo, Caruso, Patrick Williams, Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, like, it's not gonna work. Like, it's just like at a certain point, right? Like, next man up sounds good, but I feel like Thibs got us really believing that mess works. It don't.
Okay, you just hit on one of the things that frustrate me most about Bulls fans and Bulls fans who are retarded. I'm sorry, I can't say that on air.
Come on, dog.
Sorry, bro. Is that when people say, well, injuries shouldn't matter. And every time somebody says that, I ask themselves, so are you going to predict a starting lineup of Lonzo Ball, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Patrick Williams, and Nikola Vucevic? Are you going to predict them to get the same amount of wins as a starting lineup of Ayo Dosunmu in a rookie year, Zach LaVine kind of in and out of the lineup, Kobe White started some games, DeMar DeRozan because he was always there, Derrick Jones Jr. and Tony Bradley? Are you gonna tell me injuries don't matter if you tell me that you're gonna predict the same amount of wins for those teams?
And again, right, like what I say, it's people that are predicting or projecting how their world works into the real world. Guess what? Yeah, you did go to work with a messed up knee to go work on a high rise. You know why? Because your value is completely different than the value of an NBA player. Exactly. So, like, yeah, you can't put our real world experiences on people that are in the NBA and things like that. And it's about camaraderie. It's about playing together. It's about building that continuity, right? Like, as much as we can say, the continuity that's on the Bulls right now is DeMar, Zach, Vooch, and P. Will kind of at the end of the season on that playoff run. Outside of that, and Ayo, outside of that, right, like, there's not a lot of continuity on this team. Even with Lonzo, there's not a lot of continuity. So that's why you want to get these guys to work together. Injuries play a huge part of this.
Yeah. It really does. And you know, people like to make the excuses that they make for it because they just want to sound like they're making a point. It's like, just shut up. Just shut up, bro. There's a reason why, like you said, you go to work in construction, and there's a reason why they get millions of dollars to play a game. They not built the same as us, fam. It's just not. It's just not. But with that being said, you know, it kind of is what it is there, brother. We got a good question. Did I lose it? What happened?
Colleen's calling.
Yeah, where is it? I lost it. I don't see it.
It's the last comment.
There it goes. Last comment. How do you guys rank number of minutes for Caruso, Ayo, White, and Dragic? I'll let you go first, Pat.
I would say Caruso depends on Ayo. If Ayo shows that he's a scoring juggernaut, Ayo could be the first person off your bench, or at least a scoring threat. Maybe not a juggernaut. The juggernaut's a little much. Maybe a scoring threat, though. He's probably the first person off your bench, coming in more than likely for Lonzo Ball, just to give him some rest. So I would say he probably ends up with 26, 27 minutes a game, somewhere in there. Caruso probably coming in around that similar framework there because of the defensive ability and because of how many positions you can actually put him in at. I think White and Dragic are up in the air. Kobe White, I think he'll start the season off getting a lot of minutes, but I don't think it ends that way if he's not hooping at a high level. I think Dragic is literally on this team to be a spot-up shooter.
Everybody's so overrated this whole 20 to 25 minutes game. Like, and we debunked it. That's not what he said at all. That's not. I'm telling you right now, it's not happening. Like, well, first of all, Goran Dragic isn't that type of player anymore. He's just not. There's nothing in his play style. He's not that type of player anymore. Period. He's just not. Yeah. So It's not happening, bro. He's not playing 20 to 25 minutes. So if we're ranking him, I'm going to say Ayo. I'm just going to say Ayo first up because I think he's going to start because I think I like what they do. If Lonzo's not there, I think Ayo's the one who starts because they like what Caruso brings off the bench.
Yeah.
So I'm saying Ayo and then Caruso, but I don't think it's going to be a huge discrepancy between those two. And then it really just depends on what version of Kobe White we're getting at one point in the season.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like I said, the last two guys I think Dragic fits a role. He fits a role if Kobe White sucks.
And even then, I still don't even then
15 minutes.
I still don't think. If let's say Kobe
you got
White
Javonte Green playing a lot of minutes. I don't think Javonte Green get that many minutes,
bro. And that's the thing. So you're telling me that you're gonna a player who's 3-point shooting, like okay, what he brings 3-point shooting. He's not a good defender. A team that the coach trusted to play power forward all season at being 6'3", 6'4". You think that he's gonna disappear from the rotation now just because he's coming off the bench? Javonte's getting his minutes, bro. He's getting his minutes.
He did last season.
He didn't. What do you mean he didn't last? He didn't last season.
Shoot, by the end of the season, when everybody came back, Javonte wasn't coming off of that bench nearly as much.
Javonte was also hurt towards the end of the season. He was banged up. He had that thigh issue.
That's true.
So I just don't see a world in which Javonte Green. I'm not saying he gets the 23 minutes per game that he got last season, but I still think Javonte's getting about 15 minutes off the bench.
I think DJJ's over him.
See, because that's the person that fell off.
That's the person. He fell off big. Fell off big.
So
I don't know. That's gonna be interesting to see. Who's spamming this comment in here, man? Adrian Shake. He said, "Haize, did you really call Drummond generational? Also, I hope we get a shooting coach. If the season ends up bad, we need to put pressure on the Reinsdorfs." I'll let you handle that one. I'm gonna just take your headphones off.
And this is the issue when people take things out of context. Yes, I called him generational in the sense that he has one of the best defensive ratings, period, in the NBA in the last handful of years. He's also the best rebounder in the NBA per rebounds per the time he's on the court in the NBA right now. So yeah, absolutely, I called it.
It's him and Wilt.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The numbers don't.
That is generational.
The like total numbers don't add up, but as far as rebounders go, it's him and Wilt.
That's it.
So
that's it.
Yeah, I can't hype up DeMar DeRozan for breaking a Wilt record in 1 year, based on what Andre Drummond's done his entire career.
Drummond is proven. You get him 18 to 20 minutes, he's getting you a double-double.
With his age, is there any way he ever gets back to the player he was in Detroit? Or has the NBA just gone
just turned 29 years old.
Only 29.
The player he was, no, because I think the game just isn't played that way anymore.
Yeah. He was,
but I do think he can have an impact for sure, and especially for this Bulls team that needed a backup center. But the player that he was when he was in that Detroit Andre Drummond was a monster,
20
bro.
and 20 almost every night. Like he was putting up rebounding numbers. Like he made me look at rebounding. Like it was like Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
He made me be like, how many rebounds did he get? And I don't like Detroit. I would literally go, how many rebounds did Andre Drummond get tonight? And it would be amazing every night.
Every single night. Like you remember it was briefly, right? Because Joakim ended up, but the battles between him and Joakim were fun.
Joe was cooking them.
It was fun. It was fun times, man. But all right, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna end it on. We're gonna end it on this one.
Got one more. Let's
end it on this one. If we get 70% of All-Star Drummond, it would be a DeRozan type steal for them. Oh, that's a big 70. If we can get 70% of All-Star Drummond coming off the bench, I'm gonna have to per the money.
Drummond was only 2 years ago, 3 years.
Yeah,
ago? Cleveland Drummond was still 18 and 15. I think he was.
Yeah,
I think his stats in Cleveland were still pretty ridiculous. That was only 3 years ago.
Yeah.
That's why I asked the question: could we get him back? I don't know. I don't know about that though. DeMar DeRozan was. I'm not saying he was a superstar, but he played at a superstar. He's
saying for the money though, bro. That's the key thing that changes this. If he just said it would be a DeRozan type steal, I'm like, no, that's not. But if you say because you're paying him 6.6, throws 3.3 over the course of 2 seasons each. If you get 70% of All-Star Drummond there, which is still a double-double, yes, that is a steal for the money.
He was 17 and 13 in Cleveland in 2020.
How many minutes per game was that, though?
28 minutes a game. So what would 70% of that be? So what are we talking? Basically last year. in Philly. 70% of that would be a little bit in the middle. It'd be about 8 and 8.
Like I've said this, if we get 9.5 points and whatever double-digit rebounds for Andre Drummond for $3.3 million and the defense that he gives, and again, yes, it's not always consistent.
Yeah,
I count that as a steal for the money for sure.
I count it as a steal for the money anyway, though. Like Andre Drummond the only time Andre Drummond has ever averaged under 10 rebounds in his career is his rookie season and last season in Philly when he was playing 18 minutes a game. And even that, you would still get 10 plus rebounds a game, but you would just have a game where he didn't play that much because Embiid was just cooking.
Yeah.
So it's a steal no matter what.
Yeah.
Andre Drummond was a crazy player, bro.
Andre Drummond was wild. But all right, bro, go ahead and send us off, man. Let's get up out of here.
Hey, man, follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. We got a lot of content coming out for you guys over on Twitter and on Instagram. So follow us both at Locked On Bulls. Appreciate you guys tuning in and rocking with us, man.
You can follow me at CEO Haize, CEO Haize. And thank you for listening to Locked On Bulls today. I can't even say our first listen because we're streaming in the middle of the day. But with that being said, make sure you go and check on Locked On NBA as well, where the Locked On experts break down all the latest news, rumors, and developments going on around the NBA in 30 minutes or less. They can be found wherever you get your podcasts. But for Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. This is Locked On Bulls, and we out this mug. We'll see you guys Monday. Peace, y'all.